Yes, subscribe. You always dey watch we program them, but you not subscribe it to the channel. All wetin you get for do, press this red subscribe button, and then you come over here and press this bell. So the bell option, press this one with all. E don done. E no get for cost you anything. When you do this, na sign for show say you dey support we for make we do more. Thank you for we don help we for share this program. Yeah! God bless you.
Hello, welcome back. The program you're watching is Wake Up Sierra Leone here on Africa Young Voices Television. Don't forget that you can be part of the program by sending in your text messages or your messages and being part of the program through Africa Young Voices Media Empire Facebook page. Today we'll be discussing about a lot of interesting issues, especially the midterm census that is coming up. The All People's Congress APC party has, in a press release, rejected the midterm census, citing unconstitutional, ill-motivated, unprecedented, uneconomic and poorly planned, and call on all the supporters not to partake in the census. So this morning, to discuss this issue and more, we have with us Sidi Yaya Tunis from the All People's Congress, and also Samba Ansumana, the Director of Communications for Statistics Sierra Leone. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning. It's a pleasure having us.
All right, Sidi, I'll start with you. Even though you have been sounding out, the APC have been sounding, among other parties have been sounding out their views about the midterm census. Why is it that now that we're about to start, you're trying to encourage your members not to be part of the process?
And thank you very much, Olainka. It is exactly for the reason you just stated, that we have been sounding out our concerns since the inception or the pronouncement of the census and the initial missteps and illegalities or disregard for constitutional provisions from the beginning. And we wanted all of these missteps or mistakes amended or corrected before we even started the whole process. But of course, our concerns have been met with deaf ears. Attempts to engage the government, particularly in order for us to have this right, have been met with deaf ears. And so we got to a point where we knew that the government does not in any way want to listen to us, let alone work with us, to ensure that we get this whole census process right. One of the reasons that His Excellency the President cited for doing this census is, in his words, to correct anomalies in the 2015 census, even where those anomalies, a lot have not been stated, even where 2015 census was acclaimed as having met all international standards and benchmarks. And so for us to begin to see anomalies and their, deliberate refusal to address those anomalies is in itself hypocritical. And so for us, we feel that we cannot be part of this. So at the end of the day, not to give legitimacy to something that we feel has a lot of flaws, and something that we also feel, has a lot of mishaps as far as legality and constitutionality.
But don't you think, firstly, should I say your press release is like a form of incitement? Is it safe to say that?
It is not an incitement. I mean, we did not say go do anything.
But you're encouraging them not to be part of a process.
We're just saying do not be part of it.
Of a process that the government has ordered to happen.
It doesn't mean when government orders something, citizens are obliged to take part, even where they know that what the government has ordered, is not legal or not legitimate. Citizens have the right to also reject. And it is the citizens' call that we have been communicating to the government, and for the most part, they have refused to listen to. Government is obligated and subjected to the calls of the people, and the people are not all the time subjected to the calls of the government. So if the people have issues with particular move that the government wants to make, I think it behooves the government to listen to the call of the people. And so far, like on many other issues, they have also refused to listen to the call of the citizens of this country on this whole midterm census issue. So it is not an incitement.
But don't you think if some of the citizens fail to be part of this census process, don't you think it will have a bad effect on us, or like it will get a ripple effect wherein with the bad information, poor information out there, don't you think that it will affect us eventually?
I don't think there is any poor information out there. In the first place, census is about the population. To be able to capture the entire population living within the country at a given time. And so if you have the huge part of the population not taking part, let us see how you will come up with the data for whatever reasons you want, to publish that data. And that is exactly our point. If the government is refusing to work with us to get this right, I mean, then why take part? I mean, this is not just political parties, Olayinka. You have civil societies, you have cross-section of international community, that have all raised concerns about the steps, the legality, the timeliness, the motive, and everything about this census. So for government to be so adamant and blatant to pushing forward with all of these concerns raised by stakeholders who are supposed to be part of the whole process, I mean, it is just something that is questionable,
Sidi,
and that is what we want to
Antonia. Find out. Sidi, before Antonia comes in, during the last census that was done, it was during the All People's Congress era. Most people were saying that the census figures were bloated. And now that that this government wants to redo the census, and the APC, for one, is very, very so against this census, is it safe for some people to say that you have something to hide?
We have nothing to hide. We are not in governance. In the first place, the 2015 census, let us go back to that. When you want to conduct census, before even you start the census process, there are several committees that you ought to set up. And those committees are set up for the very reason that you stated, for everyone to have trust and confidence in the whole process. For example, you set up the advisory committee that will involve all stakeholders, political parties, civil societies, international community, and all. And in 2015, the advisory committee had people like Dr. Bob Kande, who is SLPP. And you have also to set up the technical committee, which will involve experts that will ensure that the whole process meets international benchmarks. And this is where you have expert institutions like the UNFPA, and other UN agencies that, have the expertise to deal with issues like census. So, I mean, all of those committees were set up in 2015. And of course, the census data was produced. So for anyone to say that the census figure for 2015 was bloated, I mean, you are bringing to question the credibility of all of those institutions, all of those agencies and different organizations that were involved. Nothing absolutely about the 2015 census was done in secrecy. It was even supposed to have been done in 2014, but it was pushed because of the Ebola. So nothing of that nature happened. But of course, we always find ways to justify, whatever we want to do, especially where things are not right. So it is understandable that we are having, claims of such nature, from whoever or whatever institution those claims are coming from.
As you talk about these committees and some of the steps that should have been taken by the government ahead of the census, What has been the role of the APC? I mean, it's pretty clear the party has been very vocal about their stance when it comes to the census. But prior to us sitting here and talking about it, what has been the role in terms of putting together or trying to urge the government to adhere to some of the processes that need to be undertaken?
Well, it has been more, you know, in terms of having our voices raised. I know for a fact that when the whole process started, we were invited to a meeting. And since then, we've never been invited again to any other meeting after that. And that meeting was supposed to be the advisory committee meeting. This was a meeting that's supposed to have been held regularly. But we were invited once, and I think I was the one that attended that particular meeting on behalf of Dr. Richard Conte, who was, you know, the person APC assigned to Statistics Salon to be part of this whole census process. But since then, we were never invited to other meetings, and we kept raising our voices. We kept putting out messages. We've written letters. We've even, as consortium of political parties, attempted to make representations to His Excellency the President as State House to, you know, discuss some of these issues with him particularly and see how we can amicably try to address these concerns. But of course, we were kicked out of the premises and we were never allowed to have engagements with government. And so it is not just that we are doing this now to throw spanners in the works of Statistics Salon of government. Or it is something that we have continuously raised, and it is not just us, like I stated. You have other institutions and other political parties that have done the same.
So I throw the question then over to Samuel. It's barely 3 days to the beginning of the census. The banners are out to say the census will commence on 10th December, which is barely 3 days away. Yet you have questions still hanging over the heads of Stats as to about the legality of this census and whether processes have been followed, not just from political parties, but also from civil society organizations, good governance groups, you know, raising concerns about what this means, about even the name, whether it should be called a midterm census because it's past midterm. What would be your response to this?
Okay, so let me start with the last as to whether, I think I have said this over and again, and what I would reiterate for the audience so they get to understand. Whether it's midterm, it's still midterm. In statistics, you have the plus or minus margin. So what that means is you could do, when counting in statistics, you could do 6 months, 8 months after the median year. You could do 6 months, 8 months before, okay? Or even 6 months, 8 months below or before. Okay, so we still midterm, all right? Statistically, we're still midterm. Whether it should be called a midterm, because people do not even understand, you know, what a midterm is. Lots of people find the word confusing. So a midterm census is a census that falls in between two primary censuses, all right? So we have two types of census. We have a full term or a primary census. We have a midterm census also, all right? So the full term collects full socioeconomic and demographic indicators. The midterm collects, sometimes it collects limited socioeconomic and demographic indicators, but then the count of the population is the same, all right? Okay, that being said, coming to your question as to we have things hanging over our heads, as far as we are concerned, and the constitutionality also of the census. Chapter 4, Section 38, subsection 7 of the Constitution of Sierra Leone makes the midterm legal. Furthermore, Part 2, Section 2 of the Census Act of 2002 says the President may from time to time, on the advice of the Minister, by order made by statutory instrument, direct the census to be taken of the population of Sierra Leone. So there is a legal means by which you're doing this census, okay? When it comes to the political dynamics, we do not, as an institution, really want to be caught in between the political dynamics, because we are not a political institution, all right? We are a semi-autonomous body that was established by an act of parliament, okay? So, that being said, and the participation of political parties, Siri is a friend, you know, so to speak. We invited, when we did the first advisory committee meeting, he attended that meeting, all right? And since he attended that meeting, we now had formal communication that the person that was going to be the official representative of his party to that committee meeting, the advisory committee meeting, was going to be Dr. Richard Conte. We've sent invites severally since then to the APC. We have letters to the effect that we sent. We have invites, we made calls, we sent soft copies of letters. They have never attended a meeting. Not only them, some other political parties, for example, the NGC, all right? The first meeting we had, Siri is a testament to the fact that Dr. Dennis Bright was there in that meeting. They all lauded the process because we explained to them the rationale, okay? At that time, we did not sense from them there was going to be a political skewing of the census, okay? It was really very cordial meeting. We had engagements, you know, we established interpersonal relationship. It was all cozy, all right? Then a couple of months after, we now saw a situation where they started to raise eyebrows regarding the census and what have you.
Could that be as a result of a failure of processes which should have been followed after that meeting? Because I don't assume that you just sat there to drink water and have a chat. You probably resoluted to action points for Stats SL to follow.
Okay, so let me also even tell you this. The advisory committee is the highest decision-making body for any decision on the midterm. Whatever decision we have, we go there for it to be vetted. We take it to the advisory committee. Technical decisions, administrative, logistical, communication, we take it to the advisory committee. By the way, we are having an advisory committee meeting today, all right? And we've invited the All People's Congress, we've invited all the political parties, all right? We've sent messages to everybody that is on that committee, all right? We even have a group where we communicate and all of that. We've sent all of the communication that is to be sent, okay? But we are skeptical as to whether they'll come. It's a good opportunity for them
that's
to really
not the
come
question.
there.
The question is whether there was a failure on the part of Stats SL to follow through on some of the agreed points in that first advisory meeting. Because if you are saying that when you first called them to the table, they were open and willing to participate, and then a couple of months down the line, they raised eyebrows, something happened. So what was agreed upon and what happened between the first raised eyebrow, I would say?
Okay, so how do you justify a situation where you are invited to the first meeting, and let's assume you even agreed on the resolutions, okay, as to what should be done, all right? How do you justify not coming to hear in the next meeting what those resolutions or what progress has been made on those resolutions? How do you justify that, okay? So we invited you to a meeting. I'm not going to divulge the details of what we discussed at the advisory meeting here, but assuming we had the resolutions we took, okay, we're going to do X, Y, Z, okay? We invite you to the next meeting, okay, and you do a no-show. Is it justifiable? How can you be able to ascertain that we've made progress on what we had agreed on if you were not at that meeting? So for us, it's not a matter of maybe they sensing that we had not done X, Y, Z as agreed, and that is why political parties pulled out. I'm not in a position to really say why they did not show up, okay? Because I'm not a politician. I'm not in the minds of the political parties. I'm not representing a political party here. I'm a technical staff working for a government institution, a semi-autonomous body, okay? So that is the situation, okay? Now, we've tried as much as we can, not only political parties, but everybody to galvanize the support, to get them involved, okay? But political parties or other people opposing a census, it's not new. Even the decennial census we had, you guys are journalists, you've been in this business for a while now, okay? Even the decennial census that we had in 2015 had serious opposition from the government, the party that was not in power, the major opposition party, all right, the SLPP by then. They criticized it, they wrote letters all over the place and stuff like that. The only thing, they didn't tell their members not to participate or not to be counted. That was the difference. But all of these issues that are being raised now, by the opposition, right? Similarly, we are raised in 2015, when we even had the legitimate decennial census 10 years that has been conducted, or the normal time that is being conducted in Sierra Leone. So for us, for whatever reason, political parties would always raise issues when it comes to censuses. I would want to be in a position to really understand why, okay? I would really want to understand why. But for some reason, they always raise issues with it, okay? So that's our position on this. We are an institution.
Could it be as a result of lack of trust in the institution? Because the institution stands the test of time. It was the same StatsSL which conducted the 2015 census, conducting the 2021 census now. So perhaps there needs to be a self-introspection of StatsSL to see what the challenges are and why political parties, mainly those in opposition, why there's a lack of trust in the institution.
So aside from the introspection, let me retrospect. We have come from a situation where we have funders like the World Bank, we have UNFPA, we have UNICEF, people trusting the institution. So if it was a lack of trust, the World Bank wouldn't have given us $30 million to harmonize and improve statistics in West Africa. All right? We got one of the hugest chunks from all of the African countries that we are giving money. Okay? So there is it's not a matter of trust as far as we are concerned in the institution. Okay? We have professionals that are working. We have a statistician general in the person of Professor Osman Sanko, who has worked in diverse parts of the world. Okay? He is a professional, he's a statistician, all right? He's a scientist. He's not somebody that is going to meddle into things that will discredit his already built reputation, all right? So, now, we propose this census. If we had a situation where maybe, okay, you said because we did a 2015 census, as a result of that, we are coming again to do the 2021 census and stuff like that. For us to come and do the 2021 census is an indication to you that we know what we are doing. Because for us to pick the errors that we are inherent in the 2015 census tells you we have professionals working at the institution. Now, let me backtrack a bit. Let me just retrospect a bit, all right? In 2015, after the 2015 census had been conducted, fast forward to 2018, when Professor Sanko took over, January precisely, he started realizing these issues. So that was even before we had a change of regime, okay? He started noticing these issues. Then he spoke with the council then, told them about the fact that people are asking for data at locality level, we cannot provide, okay? So we now went to the then Minister of Planning and explained to her, Nabila Tunis was the Minister of Planning, okay, by then. We are having these issues with the data. People are asking for data. We cannot provide for type 3 localities. Now, we have 3 types of localities. Type 1 is that situation where you have a place that is exactly between 80 to 120 households. Type 2 is the big cities. Freetown, for example. If you take from where we are seated here at Tower Hill, by the time you reach Pademba Road, you would have had over 80 households. So you can have multitudes of immigration areas in one city. And then type 3 was where the problem lies. That is where you have to assemble several villages to get one immigration area. Okay, so you get a village that is 10 households, you get a village that is 5, you get a village that is 15. So you have to assemble several villages to actually get 80 households, all right? And the distances between those villages are far off, all right? They are huge distances, you know, wide. It's not a place where you say, you know those villages. You move from one town to the next town will take you maybe 3-4 miles. So it's a large coverage over a large, space. So that was where the problem lied. For those communities, if you now tell us we want to undertake development interventions, we most likely than not will not be able to give you the population of those villages. Instead, we'll give you the population of the villages combined. These were as a result of coding errors that occurred in 2015. Okay. So that tells you the competence that we have for us to be able to pick up those coding errors. Now, when they did the cartography in 2015, they used names, all right? For example, Wilberforce you put 01. Regent, you put Wilberforce, you put Wilberforce. Regent, you put Regent. Gloucester, you put Gloucester. When you come to the main enumeration, you now say, okay, Wilberforce, I will replace it with 01. I'll just code it as 01. Regent, I'll code it as 02. Now, when you're done with the data, you have to match, when you're done with the census rather, you have to match the two data, all right, between that of the census and that of the cartography. Matching those two, because you now have names here and you have codes here, it became a problem. So we had lots of mismatches with the coding. That was the issue, was a technical mistake that was made. We picked that up, we called the consultant that came, that worked on the 2015 census. He spent 2 months in Sierra Leone. At the end of the day, his recommendation was, there is no way in which we could be able to fix this at the office, because we felt, okay, we could fix this by sitting at the office. He said, no, you would have to go back and count. So if we had a funder in the World Bank that was ready to support that process, why not do it? We proposed this census. Okay. It was not the government that told us to do this census.
So
that
the
is the
main
baseline.
reason for this census is to fix the issues that you experienced in the last 2015 census.
Yeah.
But now most political parties, and now especially the APC, they're calling on their members not to be part of this census. What effect will this have on you?
The effects, let's be honest, it's not a good thing when people say they want to participate. It basically means the effects primarily would be if people, for example, refuse in some communities. I'm not really going to align it to a political party or, you know, certain people. I just want to be very community-based with my analogy, okay? If some communities refuse to be counted, what it would mean, or some towns or some villages refuse to be counted, people in those places, it means the population that will report for them will be underpopulated. That is what it means. It will be underpopulated. Now, in effect, that means development interventions for those places will be slow. It will be snail pace. Now, if partners want to do development interventions, the very first thing they would ask for is the population. When Ministry of Finance allocates resources, they would ask us annually to give them the population, okay? And based on that, they would plan for communities, for places, for towns, for villages. They would allocate resources to councils. So it means if you are not counted, then your population will be reduced. So if we are supposed to have 100,000 people in a place, and 50,000 said that we are not going to be counted. So it means we'll undercount those people by 50,000.
All right, Samuel, with all this that you're explaining, did you try to explain this to the other political parties in order for them to accept this upcoming census?
We have tried all we could. We've invited them to meetings. At the initial meeting we had, where my brother Sidi was, we actually explained these issues to them. We catalogued in detail the issues that we had with the 2015 census, and they were there. They had it, all right? Okay. Then, all of a sudden, we had a shift in paradigm where they decided not to be coming.
All right, well, definitely it's not just the All People's Congress that decided not to be part of the meeting. Let's move on to Studio 2, wherein we have Victor King, who is the chairman for the Media Committee, All Political Party Association, APA. Good morning and welcome to the program, Victor.
Good morning, Ivy.
All right, Sidi is here and he has voiced out his well, he has said that on behalf of APC, they've been so vocal about them not being part of the midterm census that's about to happen. You're here on behalf of all political parties. What is your own complaint?
First of all, we don't have complaint. The all political party from the inception of the midterm census, we are part of the process. We are attending meetings, we take part in all the functions as political parties. So we don't have any complaint towards the census. We welcome the idea and we are supporting the process.
So you welcome the idea of the midterm census then?
Of course.
Okay, and CD, well, the all political parties, they are all okay with the census. What is wrong with the APC?
Well, in the first place, you know, let me just answer that before I go back to, you know, I think, you know, for us, as far as we are concerned, we have nothing like APA anymore. APA is an acronym for All Political Parties Association. And I can tell you, as I sit here, you have over 10 political parties that are no longer members of APA. So you cannot have people representing 2 or 3 parties still going by the name APA, pretending to be speaking for all of us. Like I've stated earlier, so I mean, as far as, 1 or 2 political parties continuing to, be part of the whole process as he has stated, does not mean it is all political parties. We have since ceased being members of APA and other political parties.
So maybe Victor can confirm to us on whose behalf you're speaking, which are the members of APA?
First of all, APA is comprised of 11 registered political parties.
Excluding the APC.
Excluding the APC, active political party. If you want me to name them, I will name them. I will call their chairman, secretary, and everybody. APC was part of APA, but they have their agenda. They have their own agenda, and we believe the whole political party association is a platform for constructive engagement. It's not to support individual.
So on what grounds then are you throwing your weight to the census, giving support and commending StatCecil for the move?
Well, first of all, like I said, APA is comprised of 11 political parties. I'm not only representing myself. I'm the chairman of my own party. But there are other chairmen, there are other secretary general who have already agreed to support this process, and we are part of the process. We attend meetings. In fact, some of my colleagues are now at statistics, waiting for the meeting to commence. So if CD is saying that APA is just 3 or 4 political parties, I will challenge him. Let him show me the 3 or 4 political parties that is in APA. Of course, they are not in APA. In fact, they have their own motive. Of course, we did not agree on their terms and conditions. So
we would have time to discuss APA, but the question now is, what is your stance when it comes to the questions being raised regarding the census? There are questions about constitutionality of the census, the timeliness, etc. Where does APA stand, and what is your argument for the census?
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, let me take you back. 2015, before the early census, we raised a lot of issues which we bring to them, the government at that time. First of all, we bring the issue about recruitment process. We bring that up with them. We bring the issue about some of the enumerators, especially in the northern areas. Some of them did not go to their various communities where they're supposed to go and do their job. We meet with the district statistics people. We talk to them. They told us that they explained to us their constraints. We listened to them. We went around throughout the 14 districts. We bring our own position. We present it to government. In fact, CD at that time was, I think he was a minister, I don't know. But at that time, in fact, we have a whole press conference. We bring our own documents, our own position paper, we submit it to government. Government said they will get back to it. So for us, we are happy that this present administration called for the midterm census, because some of those problems will be addressed. And the issue about CD or the APC not to partake, I don't know what is their problem, because at some point all of us was there at the meeting, discuss, submit our own suggestion, and all those kind of things. After some time, they just back out and say they have their own group, which is called the Progressive. I think it's 4 of them, I guess. I see 4 of them in that group.
If I could just maybe give you a premise upon which you can respond again is, you know, there have been several challenges for StatCecil, given that they've moved the timeline a couple of times. They've moved the timeline of the census. There was also a very big conundrum in Parliament over the laying of the paper, you know. So these are some of the things that point to challenges about this decision to conduct a midterm census. So if you could quickly respond to this so that we round up the conversation.
I think the shift was due to COVID. The shift was due to COVID, because in our last meeting we discussed about that, why the shift and all this. It was due to COVID. And the issue about laying the paper in Parliament, of course I was there. I was invited as chairman. I was part of the process, and at some point there was few skirmishing. After some time there was calm and the paper was well laid. So the issue about legality, for me, I don't see anything about legality, because the Constitution is very clear about it. The president have right to call for census on the advice of the minister. So there is no legality issue. If APC is calling their membership not to take part, for me, I think maybe they are calling for civil disobedience. I think that is what they are looking for. But of course, we are advising our member, encouraging them to take part, let them allow them, make themselves avail to be counted. All right, thank you so much, Victor, for your time. Sidi, as we round up, it is pretty clear, as Samuel has said, that if a good number of people choose not to participate in this census, it would be detrimental for development. Is that your goal?
That is exactly our goal, because from the onset, we have raised these issues. I mean, Samuel just raised some points I think we need to look at. He said we participated in the first meeting and then thereafter we left. And he cited the constitutional provision and he made a statement supported by instruments. And that is where the problem started. When His Excellency made the pronouncement, Start Sierra Leone, before the instrument was even taken to Parliament, started the exercise right away. And that is where we started raising issues that no, you are not supposed to start anything when Parliament has not given its blessing to this whole exercise. And since then, we all saw what happened, how the instrument was laid, the chaos that happened in Bintumani. Parliamentarians had to be called from vacation to rush the instruments through in a very wrong manner. And so we cannot be part of such process of an exercise to which our president has told us that he wants to correct anomalies. And we come and be part of even a bigger anomaly in terms of constitutional provisions and you name it. And you rightly stated, Start Sierra Leone on 2 or 3 occasions pushed the census, timeline. And even by your own definition, my dear friend Ansumana, it is no longer midterm. Because if you're saying you're taking 6 months before or 6 months after, census was supposed to have been done in December 2020 from His Excellency pronouncement. It was pushed to April 2021. That we did not meet. If you even take April 2021 to December 2021, it is past 6 months. No. So it can no longer be, midterm census.
So you have to check when we had the last census.
It is no longer be.
We had the last census in December 2015.
It can no longer be 2021. And let me come to one key area that they are emphasizing on. This area of 3A, data. The fact of the matter is, like he stated, 3A, you have to combine, different villages to ensure that you meet the 80 to 120 household, threshold. And so in instances like that, when you bring in together villages, the codification will be different. The manner in which they do the coding will be different than areas wherein the thresholds were met. And so, unfortunately, they will find difficulties in decoding because all of the staff that were involved in that particular exercise were sacked. So, of course, you'll find...
Well, we cannot cry over spilt milk anymore. So, the date is almost here.
If somebody says
3 days
go
to
count,
the 10th.
If the consultants advise that go count, he's simply telling you, this just made up less than 5% of the total data in 2015.
It's
so
Samuel.
if he says go count, it doesn't mean go do overall census. Just go count the few
Samuel, I think everyone is anticipating whether the census would go on or not.
No,
what assurance can you give now? It's 3 days to the 10th.
We are all set for the 10th. The 9th is the critical date because we're doing a de facto census. So the 9th is the census night. So where you slept on the night of the 9th, which is Thursday, is where you'll be counted to prevent double counting. So we are urging Sierra Leoneans. The census is going ahead as planned. We are on track, and we are urging Sierra Leoneans to ensure they allow our enumerators. We have provision, Section 8 and Section 15 of the Census Act makes it a crime for you not to talk to our enumerators. It's a crime that is convictable, all right? So we do not want to actually reach that level. We know Sierra Leoneans are peaceful people. We are pleading with them to allow our enumerators into their homes, into their offices so that they can be counted.
All right, thank you so much for making time to speak to us, and thank you to Victor in our studio too, and Sidi Tunis as well.
All right, with this, this is where we end today's edition of Wake Up Sierra Leone here on Africa Young Voices Television. Our quote for today says, "A narrative that branded Africa as little more than an economic, political, and social basket case was not likely to provide the investments needed to drive development." And it comes from Mohammed Mo Ibrahim, a Sudanese British billionaire businessman.
All right, we say thank you to our sponsor, Raquel Commercial Bank, for their support to the program. And to you out there, stay with us. We have exciting programs coming up here on AYV. So we'll meet again tomorrow with more exciting topics here on Wake Up Sierra Leone. We have been your presenters. My name is Antonia Howard.
And I am Olanke Olukolia. Have a lovely day.
Yes, subscribe. You always dey watch we program them, but you not subscribe yet to my channel. All wetin you get for do, press this red subscribe button, and then you come over here and press this bell. So the bell option, press this one with all. And done. And not get for cost you anything. When you do this, now sign for show say you dey support we for make we do more. Thank you for we your help we for share this program. Yeah, God bless you.